Hello and welcome to this Crimson Desert breakdown. This is going to be a very deep dive. As I run through some things, I wanted to introduce myself. I have hands-on this game, multiple hours, and also footage that you probably haven't seen before, or maybe you have. We'll see. And I want to do a deep dive to help those who don't know what this is, who think they know what it is, but still don't have every detail, to help you really get a feel for if you're interested in this game. Now, I want to say I'm still learning as well because my hands-on is a limited demo portion of the game, and they have a massive open world with tons of stuff, and they keep revealing more as time goes, and the game is almost around the corner. So lock in, let's do it. We're gonna jump into this right away. In the background, you're gonna be watching all types of gameplay, whether it's these big boss fights that I have footage of. I also have hands-on with a bunch of bosses. I played against 4 bosses when I played one of the demos hands-on, and I talked with PR manager Will Powers and a couple other developers, and kind of pick their brain a little bit as much as I was allowed to. And we want to go down the rabbit hole of key information, just like general stuff that you just should know, and then we'll go deeper down the rabbit hole of this game. Okay, so March 19th is when it releases. That is coming out on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Steam, Mac, and EGS. All right, this is not a sponsored video. It might sound like it every time I talk professionally, but this is just me excited about it, wanted to share the news. This is the next game that I'm going to be jumping on. As a matter of fact, I'm looking to give up all of March. All right, so if I can take all of March just to play this game and not do anything else besides be with family and have a regular life, that'll be the goal. All of March, okay, for me. Tell the devs, I'm locked in. That being said, it is an open world action adventure, okay, where you're going to reclaim power with your main character, and you're going to reach beyond places that I'll kind of get into, kind of those thoughts and opinions on what I've seen and what I thought about this game. There's actually a thing called Abyss, which we'll get into, the mystical realm. It's kind of like a alternate reality, kind of chaotic thing. But we'll get into Abyss in a minute and kind of discuss what I experienced and kind of share all that in one big breakdown. All right, so the world that you're in is a seamless open world. It has 5 regions. Each of the regions have vast wilderness, and then bustling cities, and then floating islands. All right, some of the stuff you're going to see in the background when you're watching this boss fight is a lot of creativity, which we'll get into combat in a minute. You got freedom to do all types of stuff. You can literally like float, fly, create all these gadgets, combine abilities together to create fighting styles and to make unique things. There's a lot of ways to beat bosses. You don't have to do it one way or another. You just combine different things, different attacks, and different elements to find your way to beat a boss. And I personally have hands-on that. And then I also got lucky enough to get blessed with details about it. But yeah, so just create your own way to fight these guys. Is a lot of little dynamic elements in that world. It's pretty cool. Now, I want to kind of touch on the story, but not really. Just going to briefly give you an idea. Basically, the story is when things fall apart for you and your group, and your faction is fighting against these guys called the Black Bears. And that's kind of the general breakdown of what this is. And it's pretty amazing, to say the least. And that is going to take you through a bigger journey about your character, Kliff, and then there's multiple other characters, 2 others. I'm not sure how many others, but so far I can tell you 2 others that you're capable of also playing as. And so you'll see more about that as we continue talking about it, but that's what's going on. And then as far as the plot goes, there's a thing called the Abyss, and it's a mysterious realm, and its powers is leaking into your world. So it's kind of like a whole nother dimension. What it really is, I don't know. story has to unfold and your journey will take you through what's going on. But what's amazing is that in the open world, there is a living world, is what they consider it. And there's features a knowledge system where every time you interact with the NPCs, objects, and all types of things in the world, you can provide clues, unlock paths, teaches you new skills. So pretty much just imagine like them making it so that you're going to be finding things and learning things and developing the more you explore. And to me, that is fun. I love when open world gives you opportunity to kind of just create your own story rather than just like a linear path without having any variety. So to me, this is a part of why I love open world games, is that freedom of like, okay, let me see what I want to do out here and kind of create my own build with the different things that I do and to go forward in that fashion. And so it's interesting because you do have Kliff, the guy that you're seeing in the footage, but there is 2 other characters that you'll play. And what they mentioned is they're very specific to exploring the world and unique weapons, combat styles, and skills for the other 2 characters. But you have Kliff, who's your main character that you'll be building up from scratch, basically, giving him all his skills as you go. Now, I want to talk about combat real quickly, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to combat. And I'm going to do brief summaries on what I experienced and then what is in the game, what I think works. So as you can see, I'm body slamming people out here, suplexing them. All types of wrestling moves are in here, and I just think that's hilarious. I used to love wrestling in the 80s and 90s when I was a kid, and it was one of my favorite of all time things when I was a kid. And even though I stopped watching it, I love it to death. And you have that, and of course you got these magic spells and different abilities that you can use, as well as the enemy's weapons and things. I went in and fought some guys that you'll see later, and maybe I'll share some impressions on it. Specific bosses that I fought that were unique, but they had environment kills, they had all different dynamics that I can use then against themselves and things like that, or you know, weak spots and things like that that you can do that are really important. So having this combination system where you're capable of putting together some things and going crazy is cool. So I love that. They call in the combat grounded yet explosive. And so yeah, you're gonna have swords, axes, great swords, spears, dual pistols. You know, you could also do the hand-to-hand combat, regular punches, kicks, slams, all that good stuff. And then they also have the elements, which are basically fire, lightning, ice, all those typical elements that you guys know. And then the best part is the environment as your weapon. You throw enemies towards things, destroy structures to hurt enemies. You can even mount enemies with some of the big ones. I fought like a giant turtle. You're looking in the background now. This is kind of a gorilla base enemy type, and yeah, he's a little bit crazy in here, and I have not fought that one right there. Hey, so pretty sick stuff. And then it's amazing. They have things like a sword that blinds people. The reflection puts out a little blast to blind people. You have the mind powered telekinetic style attacks that can blast enemies, and then you can summon ability, which is going to be interesting to see how that ghost warrior or something like that gets in there. There's a lot of that going on, you know, and I think that is amazing. And just to briefly touch on that, like before we get into deeper layers of it, you know, that's fun. But again, the biggest deal is the lore with this universe, right? You have this mysterious, mystical realm, and it's leaking into the earth, as I said earlier. And exploring is key because you're going to be able to fix that. You can unlock specific fast travel points and typical things like that. But the key is that there's a bunch of factions and there's a war going on out there, and your job is to also help with that. So the more you do, the more you get better with that faction. Funny enough, a little side note here, somebody else that had hands-on mentioned this about maybe you run into a faction that you don't know. Now they can be friends or they can be neutral, and they could also attack you. So how you play with them, like maybe you start doing quests for them and you help them out, and all of a sudden now they're your allies. And so there's a system there where maybe if you want to make the game difficult, you go to war with every faction and you just never do their quest. And like I said, this is an open world and there's freedom there. You know, you're going to be traveling the lands, going wherever you want, and you're going to have those battles. And you could turn it into a regular game where there's just war everywhere, or you can make it friendly where they're like, hey, this guy helps us a lot. So that to me is a cool system. It's very interesting. It's intricate, let's just say. And then of course there's things like traders and vendors. You're gonna go and get tons of stuff from all these people. And they also say you can learn by watching, which is a really interesting one. I've seen some games do this where you can basically see a fisherman and kind of learn his tactic or even martial arts. Things of that nature will help you, of course. So that's going to be interesting, to say the least, as they go forward. I want to kind of touch on different factors as far as like the experience for you as a player as you go forward. Is this an MMO single player game? It's a single player game. And yes, the company who made it did the MMO, Black Desert Online, and that's a massive game and there's so much stuff going on there. I do think that they're going to take everything that they did good there and they're just adding it into this game, so it's pretty fire. They have a philosophy where exploring isn't a checklist. Like, isn't nothing missable. It's up to you if you want to engage and you want to experience that. Somebody in my chat as I record this was mentioning that it's too big of a world. Maybe some people feel worried about that, and that's totally reasonable. I personally not interested in a big world. I think that's boring. But if it's a interesting world that has rewards, that has intriguing elements, and whether it's rewards for my character, buffs, which that game already says it does have, or if it has, you know, great challenges and interesting story plots, saving somebody from this fire, and all of a sudden this faction decides they want to give me a special item or weapon that I can use to do some crazy stuff in combat. Let's go, baby. Okay. And so to me, that is very nice, very fun. It's cool. And then they also talked about the gear. Your power is your gear base. So there are levels and different things like that. And I didn't really want to touch on this because I don't know the confirmed nature. I know that the PR manager talked about that they are different levels in different areas, and it might be a little harder over this side or that side. If you're one of those guys that wants to go beat the whole game and like never level up or something, try it. Let's see what you could do. But for me personally, I like to pace myself and not rush a game most of the time and just enjoy it and casually vibe out. So that's where I'm at with it. And I want to see how that level setup is based. So you can be creative and beat a boss with your own playstyle, or you can level up and just try to smash through things, which I think is interesting. As far as my personal taste and breakdown on it. So I want to kind of get into a little bit about just random things that they mentioned when it comes to some of the dragons and things like that, physics and stealth and things like that. It is confirmed that there are some stealth, and there is a patrolling, suspicion and alert phases. That's for me personally. I wanted that and I'm getting that in this game. Then the destruction is very nice to have, and there is some kind of value when it comes to combat. When it comes to like the system for crime, right? People were like, is this a GTA where you can go around? They didn't confirm or deny, from what I remember, was said directly on that, but they basically mentioned that each region has their values. If you act up, they might come after you, and it'll trigger consequences in the world. Now, how does that play out? Like I said, don't think of a crime system like old games. Think of it as its own thing, and what does that mean for the game? So I would think, for a faction, if they're like protective over their people and you do something towards them, they're just gonna attack you from that point on. I don't think they're gonna send a helicopter because there isn't any in the game. I don't think. Actually, matter of fact, they are machines. There's a lot. This game is wild. Like, you could think of it as an old time game, but they got a lot of high technology. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. So we'll see what happens, but that's an interesting system that is in there as we go forward. But yeah, they're trying to make it so that there isn't some regular XP bar. It's more of a different type of system, and you can unlock specific things by exploring, and I told you, learn tactics, and that's better from what they personally was trying to present and bring forward. So we'll see how that works. Again, I don't know for a fact that part of it, but I'm interested. Now I want to kind of get more into combat real quickly as we go forward. The cool part is this isn't just like a dodge, roll, and poke. What they mentioned is they have such dynamic systems, and this is where my personal experience, I can put on like the footage of the bosses in a minute, but the bosses were crazy. Like, played one giant turtle-like boss that I had to jump on his back, destroy weak points, blow it up, and do type of things like that. And there was another boss who, there were pillars there, and I had to use it against him, and environmental type of elements that were pretty cool and interesting. The footage you guys saw, you can do crazy combinations, you can put things together where you're possibly transformations, and then tag team style things, which is pretty hilarious. I thought that was cool. And again, the general wrestling and the very cool regular weapons that we know and love, like a hand cannon or a great sword, and you mix it up. And the cool part about this system, in my opinion, what makes it different and in its own way, is that you got that freedom. And this is one thing I'm learning to love more about games, is when they give me a chance to just do what I want to do. I don't got to do what they saying. I'm doing what I want to do. And it feels so much better to have that freedom and do what I want. And so I love that. Now, another thing, very cool mechanic. There is some dragons. We saw it in the beginning, and they'll probably talk more about it in the near future. And then there's these floating biomes, which are very interesting. Now, I want to kind of mention, when I played the game, I didn't want to kind of pry the developers that were helping me out, and I was talking with when I got to my hands on. I played the actual boss rush modes, which you've seen some in the gameplay that I was showcasing, and maybe I could pull up some more of that footage. But basically, that was pretty ridiculous because it felt really good. And I'm gonna put some just general gameplay while we kind of talk about it real quick. It felt really good because the actual combat for me was special. Like, I actually had full control of the dynamics and the elements. It wasn't just like a hack and slash and I'm done. So that was very cool. I fought one of these guys and much more in the game, and I'll pause it at a point where I see a boss. And again, if you pay attention to the combat, and I'm going to kind of do a little commentary to what you're watching. See right here, I have counters, I have normal combos that I can do. I can do drop kicks, which is amazing. There's a full kit of array, like all that right there. Special spin attack with the dash forward. I'm using a fork. Then I just pulled out a grapple to grab somebody, slam them. You got the bear just mauling through people. Hilarious. Then you got a mech right here. Just look at this, man. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And just imagine just torching through people in the game. You know, when you talk about different weapons, you're looking at all of them right now in the background. it's not like this game doesn't showcase what you could do. It's like, what can you do in this game? It's like, yo, this thing got some fire combat. That's the first thing I like, right? Like, if I wanted to watch a movie, I could watch a movie, but I'm playing a game, so I need all this to be fired. She got a rifle that she's using, popping off, getting shots in, charging that rifle, and doing some heavy attacks. Now, this right here, just a cool combo that you can put together. And again, different weapon combinations, different fighting styles that you can do. Body slams. Look at this, slamming them against the wall. Like, this is, if you're asking if this game's a win, just watch carefully. He went into the electric shock, did the elbow spin around. Now he's just banging through everybody. And he got these two swords, dual swords, playstyle. I mean, the thing is ridiculous. You know, he's flying into the air, speed boosting up into the sky, then drop kicking down, super ninja kick to the ground to dominate. I mean, there's not much you can say. He sweeps the dudes from the floor to the floor, does a nice spin jump, rolls, and then shoots at somebody over there. I mean, like grappling into a fight, and then bonsaiing sumo wrestling style drop. Okay, and so all of this is freedom. Like, you get to choose how you want to fight and really dominate in your game, how you feel. Just imagine, like, you know, you get to find all these things in the open world, find all these skills and abilities, and do whatever you're feeling. Like somebody was asking about the open world. It's a big open world. We don't know how many hours it'll take to do everything, but I don't think everybody's gonna care as long as they can get in here and do some badass combat. And now, like, don't want to kind of rush the story aside like a lot of people do. We don't know how good or bad the story could be until we play a full game. But I can say combat's making it badass. I'm in love with the character's capabilities. You know, imagine if you replace this character with your favorite character in every game. All of a sudden, you know, you're like, damn, I got crazy combat. And so to me, that's where it stands. As far as just like, oh, this is so much fun, it's fire. And I'm absolutely loving every part of it so far. Now, I want to go into some questions and concerns. If people have them, please leave them in the comments. I'd definitely like to share my thoughts. There's this thing right here. You're seeing these islands, and this is an interesting thing. I went and fought the bosses, and it felt like I was in one of those islands. I was fighting bosses in that realm, in those islands. Those islands are very isolated and their own separate thing, and you can tap into whatever it is in that area. But I didn't play the full game or anything, but I'm assuming those islands are going to be like extra challenges and, you know, boss rush modes, because you're seeing some of the footage as we go forward. These are the other playable characters. Okay. But so the first question that I want to answer about that is like, okay, what am I getting out of these things to make it so special? Maybe some story stuff, but also possibly these great challenges that take it to another level where it's like, oh, I really got to go in here and try to survive this wave of enemies, or maybe boss rush fights. Okay. As you can see, these characters have gliding, flying, all types of crazy abilities. That's insane. They did the Undertaker's choke slam. I mean, our suplex. It's just a crazy game. But that's a concern. And then the question is the story any good? Right? That's another question I'm getting a lot about. I don't have any idea. I don't think anybody does, man. Like, they haven't revealed everything. They got trailers that look really cool. The universe looks like it's fun. Multiple factions, big open world. Character looks badass, and we don't know. And then as far as the big open world, the conversation, I want to kind of mention, this is a big world, and you're looking at different factions, different values, as they keep saying. Depending on how you are, maybe they don't want you around. Maybe you got to earn your way to work with them, and you can get special items and abilities from them. If you work with them, you'll be able to unlock things that are very unique to that faction. So it makes it an interesting thing, because it's like, hey, I like this stealth faction. I'm gonna go over there and be friends with them and try to buy the stuff that they got. Each of the factions is gonna have different rewards. So that is something that could be very interesting to see how it feels. As you see in kind of like the little activities, the dude was mining, the other one was hunting, and then now you got boss fights where it's no joke. These bosses are pretty challenging. The game is very dynamic, which I love the most. But open world, you can't really decide. Like, you can't really say that it's going to be great or not. No matter how much footage they give you, you have to get into the world and maybe love the cutscenes and the story of the character and start exploring and feel good about combat. All of a sudden, the world exploring feels good because I want all the skills or abilities. I want all the perks or the buff ups, whatever it is. That's the reason I'm going to explore. Gameplay wise, to me, is what matters. As you can see, I'm flying on these mechs, grappling to one of the flying areas. Like, these are things that are in the game that are extremely interesting, and you're saying, is this real? Well, it is real, but the question is, you know, how does it affect you as a player? But we don't know that answer until we play it. And that's why I was saying at the start of this video, I would take all of March just to play this game. Like, I'm dedicating a big amount of time to try to dive deep into this universe and see what it's offering. The key to me is not to sit here and judge the game based off of the hype. Who's playing it? Or it's like, no, I want to go in and immerse myself, get lost in the world for a couple hours every day until I'm done. Like, till I'm like, oh, that was great. Thanks. And that's the value. I think $70 is a cheap price to get that type of entertainment. You know, I go to the movies and it's like $50 just to go by myself. And then you go eat after, that's another $50. Spend $100 to watch a movie for 2 hours. But in a video game like this, 2 hours smashing through these guys with my crazy abilities could be hilarious and could be a lot of fun. And you know, it's a preference thing more so than anything about doing the rest of the open world and exploring, and do I really want to get into all that extra stuff, or do I just want to play this and go off and have a blast? That's the question, and that's up to you. March 19th. All right, that's pretty much my rundown. We want to just kind of say thank you so much for watching, and feel free to like, subscribe, or comment if this was informative, giving you a quick brief summary of some of the things that we know, and let me know what y'all feeling, what y'all thinking. See you in Crimson Desert. Peace.